What's up, everybody? Las Vegas and beyond. This is the first ever guest that I've had on the crypto natives aspect of underneath the guest list umbrella. For those who have been following me, up about 3-4 months ago, I started a crypto company, started doing blockchain meetups. I've had a big passion into crypto in general for 4 years. I've been investing, got heavily involved into NFTs, selling some at Sotheby's, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And as we've been going to these meetups, there has been a blooming Las Vegas crypto and more specifically NFT community that's been forming out here in Las Vegas. And one of the brightest minds that I've come across is the gentleman who's sitting across from me, Mr. Mikee Trompeta. He is one of the co-founders of JDM Labs, which is a Solidity and web development studio out here in Las Vegas. They build contracts for crypto companies and some web development, and they are gigabrain chads who are very smart. So, Mikee, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude, it's when I first met you at one of the NFT meetups, you had talked about how you tried building a decentralized exchange out here in Las Vegas.
Not a decentralized exchange.
Just a centralized one?
It was a centralized exchange, yeah. Just like Coinbase or whatever. So,
can you first give us a little bit of a description of who Mikee is, and then take us through that experience of trying to build a crypto exchange back in, it was like 2017-ish?
Yeah, 2017, 2018-ish. Yeah, around there. So, I've been a developer since 2003. I went to school for mathematics, computer science, and built multiple apps. Since then, like Windows apps. Then I went to web apps. Then I went to mobile apps. Then I went back to web apps, and then throughout that stint, I was a CTO of a travel tech company here locally in Las Vegas. That was successfully acquired. And then after that, I'm like fast forwarding right now, but yes, hope you don't mind. But then joined, as the COO of a local crypto to crypto exchange. So there was no fiat involved. So we were building an exchange, and it was pretty crazy because, the developer who works now with JDM Labs, his name is Julio, and then also the UI UX designer, his name is Dustin. We had a whole team, but both of them were the brains behind building an exchange, and we built it in like 2.5 months. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is insane. So what crypto assets did you offer on the exchange?
Bitcoin, Ethereum, Doge, Digibyte, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum Classic, Stellar.
So these were at the time back in 2017, 2018.
Yes.
Some of these assets weren't mature at all. They had just been launched. Obviously, Ethereum Classic's a fork, and some of these other ones, but Stellar had just bloomed, and some of these are now considered like the macro caps of the crypto space. But back then it was a much different scenario, and this is before Web3 was even in existence.
Yeah, so we were able to build that, and we were able to onboard, like new coins that just, that went through the ICO phase. Like we understood that there was a need for an exchange that did crypto to crypto. I mean, yes, you can do that on Binance and all that stuff, but we saw that, there was still a need, so we decided to build that. Unfortunately, through this process, there was a break-in at the office. I don't want to get into too much details about that, but basically, we suspect that it was an inside job because they knew how to avoid the cameras, like which angles and stuff. They knew to like wear hoodies and all that, and they knew how to target the computers and specific assets that we had in the office locked up. That along with, at that time, Bitcoin tanked to up to $3,000. That was in 2018, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it went from 20K down to like 3,200, something similar.
Exactly. Our investors, felt, it was a weird situation, weird vibe in the industry, and decided to, stop the company and stop the funding. So we had to close that down. Unfortunately, the team, all of us, had a bad taste in crypto. And then we kind of just left crypto completely, myself included. And then fast forward to February of this year, Bitcoin is back, in the news, like on mainstream media. And I decided to look at my wallet balances. And I was like, whoa, shit.
Yeah. Oh man, don't you love that? You dust off a wallet that's been hidden in cold storage for a while, or even one that you forget that exists, like a random hot wallet on your desktop, and you're like, whoa, where did this come from?
Yeah. That's exactly what happened. I was like, all right, this is cool, And then I just kind of kept my an open ear in the crypto scene. I wasn't really back into it because still the same thing from back then. And what really got me back into it was Gary Vee. So are you familiar with Gary Vee?
Very Vee. Yes. Very familiar. Yes. I've read multiple of his books.
Nice.
And I'm a big follower. I haven't followed him as much recently, but he's an advocate for entrepreneurship and crypto, and he does a lot of things and puts his reputation online or at risk very often to go after things that are just beginning. Yeah,
no, exactly. So I mean, like I've followed him since back 2012 or whatever. Like it was just random. Like I found like the Barnes & Noble here locally, one of his books, Crush It, was on clearance. I'm like, who's this guy? I just picked it up because it was on clearance, right? I was like, damn, this is a damn good book. I started following him on Twitter, and this was back in the day when he didn't have a lot of followers. I mean, he had a lot of followers relative to everyone else, but it's not like right now where it's in like the tens of millions or hundreds of millions. He had like only, I think, 1.8 million back then or something, or 2 million, whatever it was. So he was active on Twitter and interacting all the time. I actually won a few of his ebooks online. He's like, "What? I'm doing a giveaway today. What should I give away?" I'm like, free Kindle ebooks of your books. And I got like 3 of his books for free on Kindle. I was like, shit, you're fucking legit. You're badass. So, but anyways, fast forward, I've always like followed his Instagram and stuff. And it was good inspiration, throughout like my entrepreneurial journey, because there's always those lulls as you go through it. The entrepreneurial trough of sorrow is what they call it.
That's a good explanation. That's a good description.
Yeah, because like when you start a company, there's the highs, everybody's excited and all that, but you got to grind, right? Mm-hmm. When you're running a company or you're building a company, and then that grind is hard. How do you keep people excited? Like whether it's your co-founders, your colleagues, your workers and all that. There's that trough of sorrow that happens to every entrepreneur. It's like you got to keep on pushing through. So watching Gary was always like inspirational. It's not. I'm not going to say like he's I don't want to make him a pariah or anything. Like everybody has their faults. He's human, but he's good for the entrepreneurial community. I think one of the best, if not the best, for the entrepreneurial community. So, sorry, that was kind of long-winded, but fast forward to like February, March, April. He started talking about he's going to launch an NFT project. So, sorry, I roll my eyes because like I have to rewind again. I was there, like Julio was there too, Dustin was there when we saw CryptoPunks launch. They were literally giving away for free.
Yeah, in 2017.
Yep.
It was June, July, something like that, in the summer of 2017.
Yep. And even still then, after that, it was trading for like really like a low amount.
Before we continue, did NFTs make sense to you back then to the extent that they are now with the art and collectible and the new applications that are evolving?
I'll completely admit no. Like I was part of that same crowd. Why can't I just right click and save it to my desktop? Right? Yeah. It's like, why can't I right click and save this PDF if you're going to put books on the blockchain or this image on the blockchain? I'll just save it. But now I get it. Now I get it. Now I completely get it. And for those of you like out there that don't get it yet, it's kind of like the same thing. Like I heard the best explanation actually from Gary. I just watched a video. Like I actually don't follow him as much, but I saw this video. He said it best. So you can go to a mansion and take a selfie in front of it, but do you own it? No. There's Lambos that are parked outside. Like say you go to Beverly Hills or Rodeo Drive, or even here in Vegas, like they're all over. You could go to a parking lot and see like a Lambo or a Ferrari and all that. Yeah, you could take a selfie with it, but do you own it? No. People want to own it. It's the same thing with these with NFTs right now. People, there's only. I mean, you could pretend that you own a CryptoPunk by going on OpenSea and downloading that, but you don't really own it. You're just fronting, and everybody can see that because people can see your wallet.
Yeah, it's a digital flex, and also NFT or Twitter is now integrating NFT verification that they're going to roll out here pretty soon.
I'm hoping. I saw that tweet. I saw that tweet. I think I saw it from your tweet.
So, So there's going to be an Ethereum or a Bitcoin, depending if it's the Bitcoin chain.
Yeah.
There'll be a little symbol next to your icon. And I think that eventually is going to be a bigger flex than the blue check mark verification.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
I think that's going to have a lot more clout to it.
Exactly. You know, just like you know, like I try not to keep up with the Joneses, but I do understand like when, you know, like having that flex factor, you know, like social media right now, people posting like, oh, look at me, I'm in Santorini, Greece, or, you
Lambos
know,
and champagne.
Lambos and champagne. Look at me, I'm flying a helicopter or whatever, you know, riding a horse across the beach, whatever, you know. But, and, you know, that's their flex. But the thing is now the next thing is going to be the wallets. Like this is proof in the pudding that you really are doing this and this is not fake shit, you know, and that's why I really think I know that NFTs are going to make it. We're all going to make it.
Yeah, tag it along. It took me a little bit to kind of understand it. My first NFT that really caught my attention was hash masks earlier in January.
Yeah.
And that's when CryptoPunks were like 1 ETH. And I was like, $2,000 for a JPEG?
Yeah.
I was like, what? This doesn't make sense. But for me, it's what catches my eye is the application of NFTs into the metaverse and the Web 3.0 world.
Yeah.
Right? Because right now, what exists in the centralized web is Web 2.0. It's pretty much like a two-dimensional kind of idea.
Search and social.
Yeah, but you need the NFT hash to then put in your Somnium Space land or in your Decentraland real estate.
Yeah.
Right? You can't right-click, save, and put that into the Web 3.0 metaverse. That just like doesn't work at all.
Well, the best way I saw that is like I watched Ready Player One before and I thought it was cool. I was like, oh, this is cool. You know, this is cool. Like, yeah, this can happen in the future possibly, but not in my lifetime. But no, it can and will happen in our lifetime. Like Ready Player One. It's not a dystopic future though. You know, like people are going to have virtual, like, you know, VR was a huge thing in like the startup entrepreneur space. And, you know, like that, like a couple years ago, and people were throwing money at VR. But the thing is, there wasn't real application yet. But like, just like what you said, when it clicked for you, NFTs, now it makes sense why VR is going to be extremely valuable. People like we have a generation right now of kids that are used to like asking their parents. Well, their parents just probably have their their credit card on their Apple account, and they just keep on buying stuff so that they can upgrade their car, their video game, whatever, you know, guns or like weapons or cars or whatever they're playing online. On their iPad. They're going to be used to the fact of buying digital goods and understand that, okay, I'm just using the JPEG example that, hey, I don't really own it. I need to buy it so I can have it in my wallet and I can show, hey, look at this, you know, and not just that, but like in the metaverse itself, like, you know, like RTFKT, you know, like all that fashion stuff, like people are like, why would you buy like digital shoes that you can't even wear? It's like, yes, you can. In the virtual world. Yeah. And that's where like I think Ready Player One now makes more sense. So I would recommend, you know, a lot of people watch that and, you know, don't look at it as not just this is a cool kind of fantasy thing. No, it's actually coming.
Yeah, and with NFTs and crypto is inherently digital, right? It was born in the internet world. There's nothing tangible, right? That's why a lot of the boomers, we'll call them, and some of the older generation, they're like, it's not tangible. It's not like gold rock where I can touch it and feel the value. Here, it's like you have to perceive it within the nature of it. So digital goods makes sense to me once you actually tap in. What Gary Vee did and what inspired you with VeeFriends, he did something a little bit different to it.
Yes.
He took NFTs and brought it into the physical world with with an IP aspect to it.
Yes.
Which I thought was very unique.
Yeah.
I was ultimately kind of bearish on it because of what it is, which I'll let you explain here in a second.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it could fizzle out after you've used that NFT for a specific utility of whatever the real world application is for it.
Yes.
But it seems like he's continually growing it with the community and with his expertise.
Yeah.
And that's what attracted brilliant minds like yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I, you know, like when NFTs clicked for me and I saw that it was, okay, this is a thing, I wanted to support Gary just because, like, I'll fully admit, I wasn't really all in on NFTs yet. I was just like, okay, I want to support him because, you know, like he's given so much to the community. It's like, okay, you know, like I opened my wallet, you know, I told you, rewinding back to that part of the story, I checked my wallet balance and I was like, okay, yeah, I could definitely afford to buy a VeeFriend. Like, yeah. So I bought one. and then I aped into it. Yeah. So, I bought one just to like, okay, I'm supporting him. Next thing you know, I have like, several V friends now. And then, yeah. And what he did is he tied a real world, physical world utility. So all of his V friends allows entrance into his conferences for 3 years in a row, and starting in 2022. It's called VCon, and the only way to get in is to have one of those NFTs. He has it's not generative in the sense like like all the other generative like not art pieces, but avatar pieces. He drew all of these himself, and then there's different rarities based off of the background color or whatever. So one of the things is like it's called a spectacular, so it either has a bubblegum background or a hologram background or one of those, but they're the rare ones. So think of like a conference or a festival. The people who hold those NFTs will get the VIP treatment. They're like just like when you buy the VIP wristband for a festival. So one of the other NFTs that he had is called a gift goat, and basically he'll be sending people who own that NFT gifts every like 6 gifts a year, so a gift every other month. And he said like, you guys are not going to be disappointed, like don't be surprised if something is in your driveway. He was like, wink wig. So there's a meme right now in the gift goat community within the VFriends Discord that, oh, we're gonna get our Tesla, when are we gonna get our Teslas? It's like, yeah, like I don't think that's feasible, because that's that's just ridiculous. But like I think what he can deliver, because of VaynerMedia and working with all these brands, he can deliver really exclusive gifts, to the community. Like, for example, one of his, he had a pigeon that was an NFT that he drew. He did a collab with Jeff Staple. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Jeff Staple. Yeah, he's like, I wasn't familiar until I found out, but I guess he's big in the fashion, especially like that hype beast stuff. Sorry, I don't know that stuff either. Yeah. So yeah, everybody was like, whoa, but I just saw like, I looked them up on eBay, like some of the sneakers that he made went for like $60,000, like physical sneakers. I was like, what the hell on eBay? I'm like, damn, crazy. So I that's what, like, being in part of that community, that's when I was like, boom, I got NFTs. So yeah, after I got into NFTs, I was like spending so much time on it. I was being a degen, formed the DAO with that, with other gift goat fellow holders. I'm like one of the founders of this like goat DAO, where we acquired a bunch of V friends. But that's a different story. But I at that same time, I was working with HackOps, which is like my freelancer, like web development, custom software development, and local SEO thing that I was just doing to pay the bills, just because I wanted to take a break from like being in a startup, so that work was suffering. Like I needed to send out invoices to clients so that I could collect money, but I was so like degen status in the whole NFT thing that I wasn't doing that. And then it just finally clicked in my head after meeting you at the NFT meetup. I was like, you know what? I'm so much more involved in the NFT community. Why don't I go full time? It's not like, like I did Solidity before, and like I have colleagues who have done Solidity before. So we decided, okay, let's start JDM Labs. And that's kind of the genesis story of JDM Labs.
Yeah. Now here we are today. Isn't it crazy how things can change? Because that's kind of like my similar experience was that I mostly bought Bitcoin and Dogecoin from 2017 up until 2021. But then I saw this, and I know how crypto works. There's always one narrative that takes over the year.
So wait, sorry, just real quick. So that's kind of two extremes: just Bitcoin and Doge. So no Ethereum, no nothing else.
The first crypto that I did purchase was Ethereum. But then once that, I think it was around like April or May, Bitcoin in 2017 dropped down 1,800, and I converted all my ETH to Bitcoin and pretty much rode it all the way up.
Nice.
But then held it, most of it, all the way down as well. Lost a lot of it on some ICOs and some private ICOs and stuff, and had to start all over. But in 2018 and 2019, I started looking at Doge more, and I was like, okay, memes are popular. I was like, if the internet ever figures this out, it's going to go straight to the moon. And so I was just acquiring Bitcoin and Doge. But then in early 2021, I saw hash masks, and I was like, internet pictures, interesting. And so then I just started watching it because I don't know how to evaluate art,
Yeah.
specifically the one-of-one pieces and Van Goghs and traditional art and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I do understand internet culture for the most part and culture just in general and entrepreneurship. And so I kind of waited around looking for something that caught my eye. And that's when the Mooncat rediscovery happened. And my first business I ever owned was an antique store. So it kind of just like really clicked for me. I was like vintage, rediscovery, antique collectibles. And at the time, that's when Mooncats were considered the second oldest NFT. Now it's like the 8th or 9th on Ethereum.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was second, and I was like, digital cats, old, makes sense, go all in pretty much. And I've learned with crypto, if you go in with conviction, hardcore, take concentrated bets, that's how you GMI, that's how you're going to make it.
Yes.
And now here we are today with Sotheby's and all this other stuff. But
I want to ask you about Sotheby's, but I just wanted to comment. I think it's so cool hearing how different people understand. I mean, not understand how they finally get that click moment, that moment that they understand NFTs, and it's so cool hearing that you used to run an antique store or own an antique store, and it's like that's what clicked for you. You're like, oh shit, there's something here.
Yeah,
I need to go deep, and then you found Mooncats. So
and that's when I messaged Phil, who's one of our NFT community members, and he was one of the Vegas people that had been talking about NFTs, and I messaged him and I was like, what is this Mooncat thing? And he's like, some rediscovery thing, and gave me the info, and I was like, holy shit, this is huge. And then I saw the community with crypto tends to form around really fast, and they started building tools within like a week. There was multiple tools that had been built, and I was like, okay, this is going to be like an established historic project. Like I see it as programmable historical value is kind of how I see it. So like with the Mona Lisa, I use this as an example all the time with historical NFTs. The Mona Lisa only has value because it's old and it's from a popular artist, right?
Yeah.
If you strip that away from it, the painting itself isn't that good, in my opinion. So that's the same with Mooncats and like CryptoPunks and a lot of these. The art isn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
It's the value. But now with NFTs, you can program things on top of this value and change it. It's like, imagine if you could take the Mona Lisa and run it through some sort of software and play games that are on top of it and extract that value and distribute it in multiple ways. That's kind of like how I saw Mooncats. And so then that's when I was collecting a lot. And it all really started with, first I traded my Genesis Mooncat that I had bought to Pentoshi, who was a large account.
Okay.
He has like 200,000 followers. He's a traditional fungible token trader. He trades like Bitcoin and stuff. He bought that, and so then with that, the sale was for 70 ETH.
Oh wow!
So then I took that 70 ETH and I bought Mr. Moo, which was the number 6 Mooncat.
Nice.
It was also the first ever named NFT.
Wow.
So that was my thoughts. Like, okay, this kind of trend still hasn't really taken off to this day, but it will in the future. And then I bought a 2020 Mooncat and the number 10 cat, which is the one that's up for auction, along with 2 others at Sotheby's. But then the Christie's guy, Noah, right? He tweeted about selling a full set of curio cards at the auction that just happened last week. So I commented on it and I said, hey, I have a full set of Mooncats. Would Christie's be interested in this?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, DM me. So then I DM'd him, and that post got like a ton of attention around it. And so we still haven't hashed out that yet, but
still, you're hearing it here first.
Yeah.
There's a scoop right here.
Right. Yeah. So I've been pretty upfront with the community on like what's happening with that. It's like they're all busy. So and then Sotheby's reached out to me.
Yeah.
And they were talking about that guy also owned Mooncats too.
Oh,
and
wow.
so and Noah did too.
Oh, okay.
Like they're like, for something with Mooncats, it's like an easy red pill NFT. Like a lot of people, that was their first NFT, including myself.
Yeah.
So then Sotheby's reached out to me and they agreed they wanted to share the story of Mooncats. They understand. And something I was talking about in Twitter Spaces earlier today is that these auction houses, they're winging it just like all of us in terms of NFTs. No one really knows what the hell's going to happen.
Yeah.
But these auction houses have been selling historic artifacts for centuries.
Yeah.
So they're looking at things that are historic. And so with Mooncats, it's something makes sense to both auction houses.
Yeah.
Where they're like, there's something here, which is like the same inclination that I had too. Like, there's something here. I don't know what it is, but there's something here. So now we're selling that next week, which will be the 14th through the 21st. And regardless of the price, I think it's good exposure.
It is.
There are some people in the crypto community that are just like anti-centralization
I was
on
just
anything.
to ask about this, but go ahead.
Yeah. Some people are just like very resistant. Like Sotheby's and Christie's means nothing, right? Like that's even a bad thing that you're doing that, because now you're giving power back to them on what's rare and what's not.
Yeah.
But you need to have that relationship to onboard the traditional arts, because there's, like I said, Christie's and Sotheby's has been selling art for centuries.
Yeah.
So they have a very devout collector base who will follow whatever they say. So if they say that NFTs are something of value, then that clientele is going to eventually migrate over this way.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same issue that Bitcoiners and boomers have, and like that we're facing 2017. So like, it's not real, right? Like why does something that doesn't exist have value? It's the same thing of like with the art world. It's like, if these new intangible assets, you can't touch them like they've been groomed to buy for such a long time. But then Sotheby's and Christie's and these art houses say, no, there's something here. Then they're taking that trust into the digital world.
It gives them legitimacy. You know, like I've been on a few clubhouses where artists, you know, are the majority in the NFT room, and it's interesting. They are, you know, I'm not going to agree one way or another. I mean, I'll tell you. I mean, so basically, their argument is that it's bad for the community. You're putting the power back into Christie's and Sotheby's, but I understand their point of view, but I don't agree. There needs to be exposure. You know, like that's the thing. This is why I love the NFT space. There's a marriage of art and science. You know, like one can't do it without the other. And with that, if you build a great product, people need to know about it. So Peter Drucker, famous, management, professor and author, said that the two key important things for a good business is a good product, but then also marketing. Because if people don't know you have a good product, nobody's gonna buy it, nobody's gonna use it. You know, same thing with art. It's. I know the artist always has this thing where I don't want to sell out, you know, like I'm selling out if I'm starting to, they always have that inner conflict of selling out and not staying true to the roots. But that's more of an internal struggle. I really think it's important like that Christie's and Sotheby's get involved, because now if you're an NFT artist and you say that you're an NFT artist, people will now believe that it's a true thing to be, rather than this like, what is this? You know, just like going back to what you said about Bitcoin, like in boomers, it's like, I can't hold it. I can't go to a bank and pull out all my money, but people don't do that. You know,
it's you're just holding their hand and kind of guiding them into this new world and saying like, no, this digital world is here to stay. It's like, you might as well get on it now.
Yes.
And it's just giving so much utility back to the artists and the curators, because you can tie in royalties to that. That has been
and that's the beauty of it,
like, which has been gouged by most of these the intermediaries, whether it's an artist agency or music agency or anything.
Yep. Yeah, music agency. That's a great example right there. You know, like a lot of those studios, those music agencies or whatever, like, you know, they give you the money, but they own the masters to the music. Now, you know, Spotify put us in the right direction so that, you know, like they're allowing musicians to publish their music directly on Spotify, and they would get the royalties from that. Even though, I mean, Spotify paying musicians the right amount, that's a different story. I don't want to argue that, even though, you know, people talk about like it's not enough. But now with the power of technology and these smart contracts, you're right. Like artists, whether you're a musician or like a digital artist or whatever kind of artist you are, you can get royalties from that, from every secondary sale, and you're no longer cut out. And, you know, not to kind of hard transition here, but this is why like it also clicked for me. We had this discussion before, but ticketing, you know, like people don't realize that. I mean, a lot of people are realizing now that NFTs can cut out, you know, these third parties like StubHub or whatever. because you can build the royalties into the smart contract, and now the venue or the artist will just get it directly rather than like, you sell it once through Ticketmaster, and then now all the stuff that happens on StubHub, nobody else gets a piece of that.
And you're also cutting out the fraudsters as well, because you can't duplicate an NFT.
Yes.
So that's my second business was actually called Chameleon Verify, which was fought ticket fraud. It was basically a centralized ticket verification company.
Oh, wow.
We'd partner with different ticket analytics. They would provide, or ticket companies, they'd provide their analytics, and then we'd have an app and you could scan the barcode and it would tell you if it's a real ticket or not.
Oh, wow.
And then if you were issuing a sale to somebody else in person, you could verify, or you could rate that person 1 through 5 stars if it was a good transition or not, to try to fight it. But now NFTs make that whole entire business model obsolete.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what's cool about like NFTs. Like that's just one application that's kind of very obvious, but there's other things that are, possibilities are endless with NFTs. We had another discussion before too about smart devices. Once devices can read a wallet and see what NFTs are in there, now you're opening up a whole new world. Like we talked about, like we're based here in Las Vegas, but say for example, the Wynn integrates NFTs. So rather, when you're going to book a suite at the Wynn Hotel, you buy it as an NFT and it's valid between these dates. And all of this could be like on the smart contract or part of the smart contract, whatever. So now your hotel room, instead of that magnetic key card lock, is now a smart device where you hook up your wallet to it and it can read that, okay, you can go into this suite from this date to this date, and it also unlocks other amenities within the resort. Now the possibility is like you don't have to like rely on like magnetic key cards or whatever. Like even go into like say, as part of that you have this you buy a whole package from Wynn. You want to go to one of the nightclubs, XS, that's included in there. You just, it's in your NFT. Rather than waiting in this long ass line outside, but I know that's part of the marketing. Like they have the long line.
It has to appear busy.
It has to,
even though no one's inside.
Yeah, but you just go up front. Somebody scans your phone. Boom. The VIP host will walk you straight to your table, and it's like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, the NFT application into Vegas, and I've talked with numerous local regulators, politicians, casino operators, and it seems like the easiest path to crypto integration into Las Vegas is NFTs, and not through Bitcoin and Ethereum and the fungible tokens, because
gaming,
because once you get payments involved, then the red tape of the gaming commission, which is governed by 8 people between the gaming board and gaming control board and gaming commission.
Yeah.
And they're very hesitant because then they have to catch up to the educational model.
Yes.
Whereas if you start integrating through, membership rewards and experience and things like that, you don't have to go through the gaming commission at all.
Yeah. And it makes more sense too. I think you made a good point about that right now, like getting Bitcoin, Ethereum, and just keeping up to date with crypto in general. Like just all of crypto is actually tough. It's quite a feat because there's new coins coming out. There's new DeFi platforms coming out. There's new DEXs coming out. Decentralized exchanges coming out. And then all these coins and, that on top of the fluctuations of price of Bitcoin and Ethereum. But then when you talk about NFTs and you have this, like they're not tangible, but the thing is they're kind of tangible.
They can be redeemed for something tangible.
Yes, and I think that's why they're like, okay, this makes sense. It's not like, for example, like Bitcoin. You can't go to a bank. It's like, let me pull my Bitcoin out of it. Like you just can't do that. But with NFTs, you can. Like you're right, you can be redeemed for something tangible. Like going back to the example with like the hotel room, like or the suite room. Like you bought that NFT. Imagine you get this great picture, and now that's in your wallet, and you can remember. Yes, that's when I was at the Wynn, and you get access to that room. I think that's a fucking pretty cool thing. So, yeah, like I think that's where people are going to start to realize, oh shit, NFTs are for real.
And this is a common conversation we have at the Las Vegas NFT meetup, and the community that's forming there was about 100 people who were at the Las Vegas NFT meetup.
Yeah. And
now we're beginning to form different things, which is beautiful. And you and your business partner over at Collar had a very successful NFT drop with Eternal Royals. And you two just met at the meetups 3-4 months ago. And that shows that to the degree that which crypto moves very fast, and you can form these relationships, because if somebody speaks to you on the same intellectual level, which is most people in crypto, then you have a higher degree of trust within that person. So can you explain to us what Eternal Royals is?
Okay, yeah, sure. Eternal Royals is generative art of 9,224 pieces of artwork from Jesse Johnson, or he's also known on Instagram and on Twitter as @thedopeart, THEDOPEART. And, so basically what happened is Drew brought me and Jesse together to build this project. We got other people involved too, but the genesis of this project was between us. Like, Jesse was a struggling artist, the pandemic kind of messed up all of our lives, and so he was looking for a new way to make money, but still stay within his passion, his art, like he was taking, odd jobs and all that to support himself. So Drew brought us together. We decided, hey, let's just do this. And to your point about like how everything moves so fast in crypto, we decided to just, okay, let's just do it. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to do the marketing for this. It's so new. I mean, at the NFT space, we don't, and we'll figure it all out as we go along. And I think, I want to talk about this point because I think it's important. There is no course in crypto. You don't go to a 4-year college. Okay, I'm going to learn about crypto. No, things move so fast that you really have to just keep up with it, trial and error, and you will have to spend money. That's it. I mean, what the money that you lose in crypto is your education. And as we were building this project, Eternal Royals, you can see it on eternalroyals.io to find out more about the project, but I want to talk about the aspects behind the scenes of the project. As we were building it, there was a lot of things that we ran into that we didn't know how to solve, but we had to struggle through it, and eventually we did. One of the things I'll talk a little bit about more of the technical aspect of it is like a pre-sale whitelist so that we can reward the people in our community to be able to purchase their NFTs, without using so much gas. So, like if you just deploy a whitelist on a smart contract as an array, it's going to be super expensive. Like it's going to be heavy data. Well, what we did, not to get too technical, is we deployed a Merkle tree implementation so that the root of the Merkle tree is stored on the blockchain, but then the addresses are stored off the blockchain. But the hash of the address along with the root of the Merkle tree would have to match up in order to be put into the pre-sale whitelist. So we were able to solve that, but before we were like, oh shit, what if we have a large list? Like we were just deploying to Rinkeby to testnet, right? Something with just like 1,000 addresses was, if I remember correctly, was costing like 10 Ethereum. And we're like, what the hell? just 1,000
like 30K.
Yeah, 30K just to deploy. Like we're already down the hole, like 10 ETH. Like, I was like, we got to figure out a technical way to solve this. And luckily we did, that was one of the things. So, going back to that point, again, I was like, crypto is still so young. You just got to dive right into it. That's why going to these meetups are so valuable. A lot of people think that these are ragers and all that stuff, but at the same time, it's good so that people don't get intimidated. We've got to get away from those Bitcoin bros. Like, oh, you're a noob. You don't even know what an wallet address is. It's like, no, we need to help onboard them and be accepting an open arm so that, it's like, okay, how do I get crypto? Okay, well, do you have an internet? Do you have a desktop computer or a laptop? You have Chrome or Brave, or even Microsoft Edge, if you're on Windows. Okay, well, download MetaMask. What's MetaMask? You explain to them, well, that's your software wallet for Ethereum specifically, but there's all these wallets and so on and so forth, which is what Rob and Nick are doing great in the community. They're helping onboard, and you and Chris as well.
Yeah, it's you have to have an absurd amount of patience with people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and we've all become susceptible of this, and I have too, of lashing out on people on Twitter who critique whatever you're getting into, and you comment with "have fun staying poor" or "not going to make it" or "right click save" or whatever it is, and it's not the right way to go about educating people. But it does happen because not only are you getting bombarded with the same question 400 times, but then within those 400 times, maybe 100 of them are saying like crypto's a scam. This is never going to work, even though it is working. And you're just like, those people are just being blind to their own ego for the most part. But we, as a Vegas community, the first Las Vegas NFT meetup had 4 people, and now we had 100 in literally 6 months. There's a growing thirst for just being in the system. And there's an absurd amount of money in Vegas that's being made on the Strip. As somebody who worked at one of the highest revenue generating nightclubs in the world, people come and spend absurd amount of money. And so you can, if you're in the service industry, you can make a lot. And as long as you channel that into the investments, which now a lot of my colleagues that work at Omnia are beginning to do the same, as seeing the success that I've had ever since leaving, which is awesome. But we have to be very friendly to onboarding them and not saying like, I told you so, even though you want to, even though you want to.
Oh my gosh. Yes. No, I feel the same way too. You know, that patience is extremely important, because once we do that, and you're right, I'm guilty of it too. You know, like my patience sometimes just, runs thin, and I'm like, I told you to do this earlier. You're like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that, because now that they're getting into it, it's never too late. And I think that's the other message that we have to understand, is that, or at least myself, that it's never too late. That just because now Ethereum is like at what, 35, 3,600 US dollars, it doesn't mean you're late. You just come in that whole, what is that saying? Like, when's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago. When's the second best time? Now. You know, same thing with crypto. When's the best time to get into crypto? Now. You know, if you don't get into crypto today and you get in tomorrow, that's the best time for you.
Yeah. And an interesting stat, which the crypto space seems so loud and it seems like there's so many people, but I believe MetaMask has less than 10 million active wallets. So you're saying 10 million people are utilizing DeFi and Web 3.0. And then you could go down even smaller to OpenSea, has less than 400,000 active users. So you have, so you have less than 400,000 people spending a lot of money in this ecosystem. A lot of it's obviously driven by speculation, and there's greed tied into it, but there's a ton of innovation happening.
There is. You know, and I think it's okay. I mean, you know, like, I think that greed and speculation, we look at it as bad, but I think it helps drive, you know, society. I hate to say it. I mean, like, look, U.S. history, what do you call that? Manifest destiny, and going westward, like, hey, you know, like, it's the same thing, you know, like, I don't want to say greed is, I mean, total greed is completely bad. Yes. But I mean, greed drives innovation, you know, especially if somebody wants to make a lot of money. If that's their motivation, that's cool. A lot of other people, it's not, you know, and I think that's where, like, the NFT space with artists are conflicting with people who are just trying to flip all the time. And I understand the artists and their point of view, but at the same time, I do understand that, you know, people who, you know, that's why Bitcoin was created, you know, as well, you know, to evolve the economy and how people use money. So, you know, like, it's important to understand that greed is in the equation, but it just can't be in the whole equation. So I think it's good that there is greed there, because now standards will get higher and higher. Like, just, the recent drop, I don't know how it went, but I mean, I don't know if you saw what went on with Mechaverse. But
yes.
That was
like a shit show.
That was a shit show. But I think it's actually good for OpenSea, because it stressed their system. Like, OpenSea was down for like, what, 10, 15 minutes yesterday, which is a lot in internet terms.
Yeah, when you have a 24/7 market, 15 minutes is like painfully long.
Yes. So that was good for them to stress that out. So, you know, there's good that comes out of it. You know, so I don't know where I was going with that point, but I'm just saying,
So we'll back it up a little bit to Eternal Royals.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
After the first day, it looked like there was about 300 ETH in traded volume, or first few days after the drop had been completed. Were there any issues that arise, or is there any complications from now having, you know, 300 ETH is not a small amount. You know, that's what, almost $1 million at some point that has been traded. Has it brought a lot of attention onto JDM or the team? Do you receive a lot of spam? Like, what were those few days like after the drop had been completed?
So I mean, one, yes, we've received a lot of, so for JDM Labs specifically, it's been great because we've, attracted a lot of attention, and people, want to talk with JDM Labs about their project, and, having us possibly do their project. But, at the same time, we are still dealing with Eternal Royal stuff because now counterfeit projects are popping up like crazy. Our biggest stress after the launch was actually getting that blue check mark, the official Eternal Royals blue check mark on OpenSea. Usually that takes a long time. The requirements is 100 ETH in volume traded and 10,000 followers on Twitter. We were well below the 10,000 followers. I think we're only at the 4,000 mark on Twitter. But I think they saw how fast the volume traded was and how it rose. And, the artist Jesse, there's a Google form that he had to apply, and then, send screenshots of his or share his Google Drive or something to show that he's the artist and who actually worked on it. And because we were on top of that, we were able to get the check mark right away. So that was a good thing. So that was, on top, that was us, our priority. But, in terms of the project itself, it's been great. The reception has been great. And I think our biggest thing is, as you know, it's a male dominated space. And what we were, proactive in doing is getting more females involved. So that's why half of the collection are queens and half of the collection are kings. Right now, the issue that we're having is, queens are, the floor of the queens is like at 0.03, well below the mint price. And it's unfortunate, but I understand because it is male dominant. So that's why, at the NFT meetup yesterday that we had, all the females that were there are going to get airdropped what do you call that? Queen. Mm-hmm. So like you said, there was 100 people there, but we did a count, but there was only like 11 or 12 women. So, we want to onboard more women. And that's right now, that is really top of mind right now. Like, yes, do we care about the floor being so low? Kind of, but our focus more so now is that it does reveal that there is a problem, that more women need to be involved in this space. And once we grow this space to be more, I don't want to say equal, but there's more parity between men and women, I think it's going to get even better. And the art will be better, and, all kinds of applications they'll think about that guys don't think about. So, yeah.
Yeah, there, without a doubt, the crypto space in general was just heavily dominated by white males from, we'll say 16 to 30 or 35-ish.
Yeah.
And the first time I really saw that disparity show was in CryptoPunks, when the floor for a while was all of the black CryptoPunks.
Yeah.
And,
wow.
And now it's different because now you've had people like Jay-Z and Odell Beckham and a bunch of these other artists have now, Snoop Dogg, have bought them and has brought more attention to it. But there was a large disparity. At one point, the floor for CryptoPunks and Meebits were like all the black avatars.
Oh, wow.
And so it just shows, because with the profile pic craze, everyone wants to get a picture that resembles them. Yeah. So it just showed the lack. And so there have been a lot of minorities that have kind of saw this issue and then brought it to light and helped remedy it in different aspects, whether they're contributing funds or intellectual capital of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, being conscious of that is important. And I think it's good that, that there are groups out there that are, being proactive and getting more inclusive. So, I know we're in we're in that phase of society where it's like, okay, you got to watch what you say and all that, but we got to be real. It's happening. And how do we address it? And we have to be proactive. Just like what you said, like, I didn't know about that, but that's crazy. Like, even though we don't want to talk about it, but we do got to talk about it. Like, it's why was the floor of the CryptoPunks, the black CryptoPunks, like that needs to be addressed. And that means there's not enough black people in the community. We need to open it up more and be more inclusive. So right now we're also working with Fame Lady Squad, which is one of the NFT projects out there. They're infamous because what happened is these 3 Ukrainian males posed to be women and launched this NFT project and sold out, and they were discovered. But, but luckily, or I would say, fortunately, they handed it over to some women who have now taken over the project. It's hard because they have to bootstrap because they didn't give the ETH. They said, okay, we'll give you the project, but we're not giving you the ETH, you know? So now they're bootstrapping to, you know, try to get more women into this space. And, you know, like they're buying the floors themselves and giving it to more women to, you know, get more women involved and actually be proactive of getting women involved in the NFT space. Because, you know, going back to the art, both men and women are doing art. It's not just men doing art. And, you know, like, if we want more women to create art on the blockchain, we need to be inclusive of them as well.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. And I noticed on the Sotheby's announcement, there's 19 collectors. There was actually much more women on there than I had anticipated, which is cool to see. They had Paris Hilton, which is a big name brand person, NFT Girl, which was an artist collector that I didn't even know existed. And it's still not 50-50 in terms of it, but it's not 90-10 as we saw at our meetup. So it's more of like a gradually than suddenly where it seems like nothing's happened, and then all of a sudden it's up to 50%. You're like, what happened? You're like, oh, this has been building for literally years at a time.
Yeah.
So we're almost there. But now that Eternal Royals has success and JDM has now brought a lot of attention.
Yes.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the technical aspects of being a Solidity dev.
Okay. Sure.
Obviously, your previous history was in centralized systems.
Yes.
How hard was the transition for those who are maybe interested in becoming a Solidity dev? How hard was that transition from going to centralized technical programming language to something like Solidity?
It actually isn't difficult. It's a C-based language, so it's C style, but it's more similar to like JavaScript. So the smart contract itself is not hard. What's hard though is optimizing your smart contract so that, you know, it's not costly. So it doesn't cost a lot of gas. And getting that right and making sure the permissions on the contract, right, is key. It's actually very, 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 very stressful. I can't exaggerate how stressful it is. So just yesterday alone, I was helping another project, some NFT project like koalas or whatever. We were seeing it in real time. Someone hacked into, so the Solidity developer had a wallet address that deployed the smart contract. So there's a creator address for the smart contract, which is usually mapped as the owner address. So this is important for Solidity development because when somebody mints and then they want to withdraw the Ethereum from the smart contract, it usually is only from the owner of the smart contract. Funnily enough, kind of like a tangent, that was vulnerability for the original CryptoPunks smart contract. Like what happened, like the very first version, it can be found out there. Like the very first version of the CryptoPunks smart contract, they didn't have like this property called like payable and then its owner address. They removed that from they didn't include that as part of the withdraw function. So people were literally buying it and then withdrawing their money, buying it and withdrawing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So they had to, you know, deploy a new contract and map the CryptoPunks to that new contract because when you deploy a smart contract, it's immutable, meaning you can't change it. That's why it's stressful as well. So it's not complicated to write, but it's stressful because it's not like, you know, a mobile app. It's like, oh shit, there's a bug, deploy a new update, and then you just download it. No, once a smart contract is on the blockchain, that's it. You got no chances to fix it. So going back to, you know, the project I was helping yesterday, the creator, the Solidity developer, his wallet got somehow compromised. So a person, you know, took the owner address from it, mapped it to another address, and withdrew all their funds. Yeah, it was like 200 ETH. And he was like, I'll pay anything. Anybody, please help us. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Nothing that you can do.
You can't do it.
You can't issue a rollback or anything like that.
Yeah, there's no rollback. Yeah, it's the blockchain. It just keeps moving forward, you know, unless there's a hard fork, which of course Vitalik's not going to do, or the Ethereum DAO is not going to do. Yeah. So
that's interesting that you mentioned that about CryptoPunks because Pondware had something similar happen, and that's the reason why Mooncats actually was I'll call it abandoned, is that they discontinued developing. originally Mooncats, you could mint the Mooncats for free, but the Genesis cats, the black and white ones, cost, I believe, 0.3 ETH.
Yeah.
When they deployed the contract, the receiving address to receive those funds, there was an error. And so all of the money was going to a different address where they couldn't recoup the funds.
Whoa.
And so in 2018, the project was launched August 9th, 2017. In 2018, they eventually discontinued because they didn't have enough funds to continue developing on it. And then eventually MetaMask updated, which disconfigured from the website. So then those like small mints that you see in 2019 and 2020 was people going into Etherscan. First, they stumbled across the project, then went into Etherscan and manually minted cats, which had no function at all. And that's kind of why they have. That's kind of why they have value now. Is like it's just the curious people are the ones that end up creating value. But it's to the point that a lot of these deployments have errors or issues in the beginning, and so you have to be very meticulous with the way that you deploy a smart contract. That's why we were talking about this before we started recording. The difference between deploying a contract for, let's say, an ERC20 token versus deploying a contract for an artist that wants to create NFTs.
Yes.
Those ones necessarily don't always need an audit because they're much more simplistic than something that's like a fungible token that has a lot more functions to it.
That's correct. That's correct. People talk about auditing. Auditing starts at the very cheapest, and it depends too. You want a credible company. The cheapest I've seen, I think it starts at $10,000 US. It can range from there to like $150,000 US, depending on the complexity of the contract or contracts that are going to be audited. And, like for example, DeFi applications and, decentralized exchanges and also staking and all that stuff. Those contracts should be audited because they're managing money in and out all the time. There's money coming in, money going out all the time. For NFT contracts, they are just handling minting. After that, there's really nothing that happens to those contracts. That's why I understand why people won't have it audited, but I don't think it should be audited because that's a waste of money in my opinion. The thing is if the developer fucks up and doesn't have that payable owner address property of that withdraw function, the owner of the project needs to fucking talk to the developer. That's a different issue, So that's more so negligence, or I don't want to say negligence because sometimes they might just not know any better, And that's the thing. It's important to hire good devs to work on your project. So for NFTs, and that's why I think when you have an audit, it should be towards more complicated smart contracts as opposed to NFTs and minting. And that's just my personal opinion. I know some people or a lot of people may actually disagree with me, but that's just from what I've seen. It is stressful though. When we deployed the Eternal Royal smart contract, we were watching everything all the time. Me and Julio were on standby 24 hours. We only slept maybe a couple hours the first night just to make sure everything's going well, even withdrawing the money to make sure that we don't leave it in there. Because going back to the Koala NFT project that just had this issue, I don't know why they left the money in there. Why would you leave 200 ETH on a smart contract? You need continually batches of 20 or whatever ETH, withdraw that. That's just a vulnerability because you don't have control of that smart contract. Just withdraw it. Look what happened right now. It's I'm not blaming them. I feel bad for them, but at the same time, there needs to be processes and management of funds properly. You're handling what is that $300,000 to $600,000?
Yeah, it's $600K roughly.
Yeah, roughly $600K. That's a lot of money. It's and they lost that. I feel bad. I really do, but there needs to be those processes, and that's why going back to your original question about Solidity and Solidity development, it's not complicated, but it's easy to fuck up.
Yeah,
and you can't fix it once you fuck up, and when you fuck up big. So that's why, if you want that on your shoulders and you want that responsibility, then cool, But if not, then leave it to the professionals. Yeah.
And now that JDM Labs has done a handful of projects with NFTs, are you guys finding a niche within the NFT space particularly, or is that just the demand that is being brought to you?
that is the demand being brought to us. The cool thing, for having a successful project is that we're, having other people reach out to us for other smart contract applications, specifically like DeFi stuff. So that's exciting, because that we can now work on like more complicated projects. But right now though, it's the NFT space that people need a smart contract developer for, especially with the generative stuff, because that is actually not the smart contract development. But like, imagine if you were going to create a 10,000 avatar PFP collection, and you're an artist, that'll take you like 6 months just to do. You don't want that, you want to work with a developer who will help you generate that art, programmatically. So, that's more of the challenges that we're tackling. And then also integrating the Web3 onto the site so that, the connect mask, connect MetaMask or connect your wallet, and making sure that works correctly and all that stuff. So
do you guys develop contracts specifically for Ethereum, or are you exploring other layer ones?
We are exploring other layer ones. Cardano just came out, was it a couple weeks ago, or was that Solana? I forgot. Came out with like smart contract capabilities, and no, that was Solana. I'm pretty sure, because
Cardano, I believe, still does not have smart contracts. I think they were supposed to. I don't know if they ever launched though.
Yeah. So I think it was Solana. Yeah. So we're starting to explore that. I know that's another opportunity there, and so for developers. So this is just kind of advice, like for people who want to learn Solidity or want to be developers, it's a steep hill to climb. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, but I would say like if you're good at I was in a Clubhouse room and artists were trying to learn Solidity. I'm like, do what you're good at. You don't want, that's why I like this space, because it's a marriage of art and science. I tried to learn Photoshop for like a little short minute, and I'm like, what the fuck this? I'm not going to do this, like I don't know how to use Procreate or on the iPad or fucking Photoshop or Illustrator. I'm like, no. I'll stay in my lane. And I hate to use that term. So no, but I'll stay what I'm good at, and I'll find people to work with that I enjoy working with. And then we can create something great, which is what we did for Eternal Royals. Like Jesse, the artist, he's like, I don't know any of the stuff you guys are talking about. I'm going to get back to making art, and I think that's good, because, it's good to be knowledgeable about the stuff, but at the same time, don't be the pro at it. And, if you want to learn Solidity, make sure you're willing to dedicate years into programming, because it's not really about the programming language. So the reason why I said that is smart contracts for Solana or Cardano, if they ever come out with it. I don't know what the programming language is, but a good developer doesn't really care about the programming language. It's about the paradigm, or, usually really great programmers are language agnostic. It doesn't really matter what programming language it is. We know what we want to build. We just have to learn the syntax, and we need to learn how to do it properly. And then that's pretty much it. So, that's why our developers are good, because we can program in multiple platforms, whether it's people always talk shit about PHP. It's I really don't care what tool is the right one for the job, or Ruby or JavaScript, or using Node.js or C++ even, or even Objective-C for, mobile apps, or Java, for Android apps. It's whatever tool, it's a tool. There shouldn't be these wars, these programmer wars between your language sucks and all that. It's no, it's not. It's whatever tool fits the job, right? My socket wrench is better than your socket wrench. What? That's stupid.
That's an inherent tribalism that exists within crypto and the internet specifically. I think it's because there's the removal of emotion from the text that you put out. So, So it can be interpreted in so many different ways, which therefore many people think they're being attacked, which some people are just making a general statement.
Yeah.
They're how could you? Obviously there are Bitcoin maxis and ETH maxis.
Oh, yeah.
What are the other maxis, which are both equally toxic to their degree.
I will say this, and I'm sorry, I hope I don't get any hate for this, but the XRP maxis are I think are the worst maxis.
Yes. Oh man, the XRP army. It's mostly bots for the most part. But whenever I see someone bring it up, I'm like, oh God, here we go. Here we go. I did hear on a podcast that XRP is supposed to have NFTs. I don't know how that's supposed to work.
Yeah.
But Dear God, bless anyone's soul. Before we get out of here, just one final question.
Sure.
Just generally about crypto. What are you most looking forward to through the end of this bull run, or maybe we're in a super cycle? But just what are you looking most forward to that's evolving in crypto that catches your eye?
Actually, the communities that are being grown out of this space, like you said, like I went to the 4th or 5th meetup where I met you and also Drew Collar and also Rob and Nick and Phil. And there was only like at that one at
Taverna?
Yeah, Taverna. At Taverna, there was only like what, 10?
There's like 10, 12 people.
12 people. And now it's 2 or 3 meetups later, we had over 100 that showed up. Like the communities that are being born out of this is going to be big. And I can't understate that enough. Like I went to a Dodger game last week because the guy who threw out the first pitch won the auction for the World Series. His name is Brian Lopez. The World Series ring as an NFT. He also got a physical version as well. And as part of that experience, he threw out the first pitch for that game last week. And like a lot of us showed up from all over the nation to support him, like from like Arkansas, Alabama, New York. We flew in just to go to that Dodger game to support him. And like it really feels like the beginning of the 90s when, you know, like the beginning of the internet and you had these BBS boards and people were like fans of each other and all that, you know, there was a lot of support. I really like that. Like it's big, it's a lot bigger than social media. Social media is now just a tool to like meet up and form a community together. And that's what I'm looking forward to most in this space, specifically in NFTs. Like, look at us, you know, like here in Vegas, you know, we're thinking about forming a Vegas DAO. Like, shit, I didn't even know you like in 6 months ago. Yeah. You know? And we're talking about pulling in our money, you know, it's like, it's crazy, you know, and I think that's what's so cool. Like, it's, I hate to use this word, but it's magical. It's magical. It is like, it's so cool. Like, yeah, I met you at Taverna, you know, we're doing this podcast now. In a month or less than a month, we're going to be in NYC for NFT.NYC. Like, yeah, and who knows what else the future holds for this community.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. Social media is really, I've called it a facilitator of conversation.
Yes.
And it seems like NFTs are a facilitator of innovation.
Yes. Oh, wow. That's quotable right
Boom.
there.
Boom, guys.
Yes.
So everyone who's been listening, how do they follow you along your journey? Get tuned in JDM Labs, Eternal Royals, any other links you'd like to mention?
Yeah, so to check out JDM Labs, if you guys are interested in like smart contract development, it's jdmlabs.io, JDM, the letters, and then labs.io. You can find me on Twitter at MikeeJT on Twitter, and then also on JDM Labs is also on Twitter as well, but it's just JDM Labs. And then you can easily reach me on Discord, which is MikeePound. Hashtag 0005. I just dated myself. Nobody fucking uses pound like as the hashtag.
So Eternal Royals, they find that just on OpenSea.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Eternal Royals. Make sure you look for the blue check mark. Eternal Royals is Eternal Royals official on OpenSea. To get in touch with our team, at Eternal Royals _ on Twitter. We also have a Discord. Just go to eternalroyals.io and all the links are there. So eternalroyals.io will link to the Twitter, the Discord, and the collection as well.
Boom. Make sure you guys pick up Eternal Royals if you want to ride the train, get involved with JDM Labs,
yes.
Also with Mikee's brilliant mind. So thank you for coming on and doing this.
Yes.
The first guest episode for Crypto Natives was a success.
Thank you for having me, Jake.
I felt like I held my ground for somebody who's much more technically competent more than me.
Oh, no.
So we held our ground, and we're going to be building a lot of great things out here in Vegas. So
yes.
I know I'll be seeing a lot of you in the future, and thank you guys for listening. Thank you for coming on. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you, Jake.